What's up? Welcome back. Walking and Talking episode 42. We're here in a new park, Arden Woods, to talk about something new and different. As I've established a bunch of times in these videos are more for me than anybody else. I'm out here walking, getting some exercise and activity, and like quick little fact drop update. On average, I walk about 7,000 steps in each of these videos in the making of, so which means just walking into the park, finding a place to shoot, and then actually shooting the video while walking around. So just a little bit of knowledge for you. Okay, so today we're talking about first cars. With a lot of people graduating high school, graduating college, a lot of people are looking for new first cars, and a lot of people are looking for new fun cars. And I feel like the Instagram too much culture has ruined everybody's expectations a little bit. Everybody's looking at these like 1,000 horsepower Challengers and 1,500 horsepower GTRs and 2,200 horsepower Lamborghini Huracans. It's Huracan. I wanted to kind of go through and give some recommendations for new drivers, new graduates, regardless of age or driving skill. Here are just going to be a bunch of cars. I think I'm going to do 7 cars that really deserve a second look because they will teach you good driving habits. They're not going to kill you. They're fun to drive. Obviously, I'm going to have one recommendation here that's specifically designed for Texas, because those Texas highways, and this goes for Florida a little bit too, are long and they can be boring as heck. Also, most of these cars are going to be manual. Some are available in automatic. Obviously, I don't judge. I'm not a snob. I do think manual is more fun. It's more engaging because you're actually physically doing something, but there's nothing wrong with an auto box. So without further ado, let's get into it. Starting with number 1, the Focus and Fiesta ST. I'm just including both of them in here because they're effectively the same, just a little different scale size. If you need a bigger car with some bigger back seats, Focus. If you want a smaller car that's a little bit more nimble, and I have had friends who have Fiesta STs who've been able to keep up with many supercars on tight and twisty roads without a single problem. So if you want to go fast, Fiesta ST will do it. Oh yeah. Also, both cars have a healthy aftermarket, so if you want to do new wheels, new shocks, tires, brakes, whatever, it's all available. Almost all of these cars are super modifiable and have healthy aftermarkets, so there's going to be no problem finding parts or finding stuff when you want to customize and upgrade your vehicle. Next, let's go American. Mustang. And I'm going to include the Camaro, but I'm not going V8. The V8s are super affordable. I love the V8 rumble. V8 sound is classic American, but the EcoBoost Mustang and the V6 Camaro, I don't feel like get enough love. Those cars are excellent, they're quick, and they're light. So that lighter weight engine block gives you a lot of advantages when it comes to balance. So the front back balance on a lot of the V8 cars tends to be a bit nose heavy, because when you throw a big chunk of iron up over near the front wheels, who knew? It makes the front of your car a little heavy. And I think the vehicle dynamics on the 4-cylinder Mustang and the 6-cylinder Camaro are excellent. They are super quick, get a good exhaust, both can sound super neat, and obviously with the 4-cylinder turbo Mustang, you breathe on it a little bit with a tuner, and all of a sudden you've got some serious power. And I think for a newer driver, especially one looking to get their first performance or sports car, I cannot recommend those two enough. They are excellent, they're quick, they are fun, they're dynamic. Highly recommended. Also, I've recommended going back a little bit to the Fiesta and Focus ST. On multiple occasions, I've recommended that car. People have gone out and bought that car on my recommendation and loved it. So there you go. Great car. Next, I want to talk about, I'm not going to talk about the obvious in the room, the Mazda Miata. It is obvious. There's a reason it's obvious. It's fantastic. But I'm just going to go for the GT86 FRS BRZ. All those cars are basically the same, different badge, slightly different interior. If you want a nicer interior, spend a little more money, get the Subaru. If you don't give a rat's bum, go with the GT86 or Scion FRS. They are available, both new and used. The manual in it super good, huge aftermarket modification scene, and also they look really good. The back looks very Ferrari F12-ish, and for not a lot of money, you can get a heck of a sports car. It's super balanced, so if you want to learn to drift, because it has those like thinner eco tires, even with the minimal power that that thing has, you can get it sideways. And boy, is it fun when you get it sideways, because you don't need to be going huge triple-digit numbers to be able to chuck it in and slide it. You can do it at 20 miles an hour, which is way safer when you're learning than 70 miles an hour. With something like a Corvette, because of the way that car is balanced and the dynamics of that vehicle, you need to be going monstrously fast to be able to slide sideways around corners. Obviously you can do it. It takes a bit more skill and a bit kind of a little extra body language to make it do it, but it's just not as easy for new beginners and people learning. So the same reason why like the 240SX is such a popular platform. Not only is the aftermarket big, but that thing's vehicle dynamics allows it to skid and slide at very slow speed, which is good to learn. So I wouldn't recommend getting a 240SX. They're way too expensive, they're too hard to find a good one, and buying a project car for your first performance car is kind of a recipe for disaster. That first car, you really want to be something, really needs to be something you can drive and enjoy, have fun with, and not have to worry about it breaking down or stranding you out in the middle of nowhere. Next, let's go European, and I want to talk BMW 135 and 235i's. Both of these cars are fantastically luxurious. They're comfortable inside, they're quiet, they're good highway cruisers, but man, when they let their hair down, those cars, their performance way exceeds kind of their reputation. Both of those cars are quick, they're balanced, they're comfortable. If you're looking for something a little bit more upscale, say you're graduating college, get your first good job, both of those cars are a perfect first performance car, especially if you want something that's a little nicer than a Fiesta or Focus ST on the inside, or Mustang or Camaro. That's kind of the natural step up. They're not crazy expensive, they're not going to put you in the ground. Maintenance, according to owners that I've talked to, is relatively easy to deal with. It's not too crazy, they're relatively reliable, and I think they're both excellent cars. They look really good, perform really good. Again, with the right exhaust, they can sound really good, but the biggest thing is the performance. It's there, and if you want to add to it, it's real easy, because those BMW motors take turbos real well, and they take tuning really well. So you can easily make 300-400 horsepower in a car that's very light and very balanced. So if you want a nice car to learn on, 235i, 135i. Depends on your body style and preference, and size preference, just like the Fiesta and Focus ST. So, next, let's talk, if you want to get something that's a little bit more vintage and you don't want to spend a huge amount of money, I think the Nissan GT R32 GT ST is a fantastic bargain right now here in the US. If you want a right-hand drive, classic Japanese car that is a performance car, GT ST. Looks like a GTR, doesn't have four-wheel drive, doesn't have the turbo motor, but you can get it here for about $10,000. So if you want the best performance bargain right now in kind of classic 80s/90s Japanese vehicles, R32 GT ST. Now that said, R32 GTRs are also not crazy expensive yet. Why I say yet is they are climbing. Right now I've seen a couple of Nissan GTRs, R32s, around like 25 to 30, sometimes a little more depending on modifications and cleanliness and all that. But they're still affordable. Obviously the R34 GTR, which is the one that so many people want and desire, that one the prices have gone through the goddamn roof, and I won't recommend that because it is way too expensive for a first car, and you really don't want something crazy for your first car. That first performance car should be something you can learn on, something you're comfortable driving hard, something you're comfortable sliding around, and something that if you make a mistake, tap a wall when learning to drift, spin it around, crack the diff, something like that. Or I don't know why you'd crack a diff. I mean, it happens, but you want something that you're a little bit more comfortable kind of being rough with, because you want to be able to learn the skills, you want to be able to practice, have fun, and not really worry about it. If you were to go out and get a really nice first car, first performance car, like a Mustang GT350 or Challenger Hellcat, not only are those kind of above that entry-level skill level, so they're really meant for somebody who knows what to do when the back end steps out, what to do when you short shift, or when you need to short shift and stuff like that. So I really think that list of cars is a really good place to start. If you're looking for a new performance car, if you're a new driver who wants something fast and fun, all of those cars will meet those needs. And just one bit of like sage advice I've learned throughout the years, it is so much more fun to have a slow car and drive it fast than have a fast car and drive it slow. And what I mean by that is if you're in, say, like a Focus ST, you can drive that thing flat out. You can get onto the highway, put your foot all the way to the floor, rail through a couple of gears, and enjoy it. If you did the same thing and say like E39 BMW, actually an E39 BMW M5 is not that crazy, but say you did that in a modern M5, 2 gears in and 4 seconds later, you're committing felonies in pretty much every state. So with a really crazy fast car, same goes with supercars. Like, how many times do you think owner of a McLaren 720S has ever put their foot all the way to the floor? The answer is probably like 1% of the time. And so having that slow car that you can drive fast and drive at the edge is so much more fun than having a fast car that you constantly have to drive slow. Let's finish it out with 2 quick recommendations for Texas. Texas is a little different than any other place in the US, actually Florida too. Florida and Texas are a little different than anywhere else in the US because there you don't have turns. I'm not kidding, if you've never been to Florida or Texas, the roads down there are straight, long, and wide. So something like a Fiesta ST or a Focus ST that's razor sharp, turns in really quick, and has really aggressive, nimble handling, kind of useless. When you don't have any sharp turns or any kind of fun back and forth, those cars feel boring, and they actually do beat you up on longer highway drives because you have you're running the car at higher revs, and you're just getting kind of a drone and it's, I hate to say it, kind of boring. In Florida and Texas, if you're looking for a first performance car, look towards like a basic V Challenger if you like the look. If you don't like the look, look at the Camaro or the Charger. But V8 Challenger, thinking like 392s or 398s are relatively inexpensive. TAs fall in price pretty quick, or just the standard SRT V8. Also, look at the C6 Corvette and early C7 Corvettes, because both of those can get down to that $20,000 to $30,000 price point, and both are perfect Florida cars. Both are big V8s, both are comfortable, they're quiet, great on highway miles. They can both turn, they can do a track day, they're absolutely capable of it. But if this is going to be your only car and you're going to commute in it and you're going to drive mostly highway miles in Texas or Florida, those cars are going to be so much more enjoyable and so much more fun for you than some of my other recommendations. But highly recommend both. And yeah, so those are my recommendations for new cars, for new car buyers looking for performance cars. Obviously, there are so many other recommendations, and if you have another recommendation that I didn't mention, throw it in the comments. If you own one of these cars and want to give it a shout out, leave it in the comments. Other than that, thank you all for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow. New video, maybe new park, we'll see. Hopefully the weather gets better than it is today. But yeah, that's all. Thanks, peace, bye.